So I'm back and I have some knitting on a loom. As you can see, it's about 5 inches long. This is the loom that I use for my scarves. And you know that needle I was looking for in my last video? I found it. It was in this spool of yarn that I used last time. I must have just stuck it in there. But here it is. It's a bigger needle. And the eye of the needle, this end, is bigger so you can get yarn in there. I believe my mom gave it to me from her sewing kit. So I just wanted to show you a little bit of how I knit. This color that I'm using right now is burgundy. It's like a deep reddish purple. I know the video doesn't really show a lot of how the color is, but here it is. I'm wrapping the yarn around right now. I usually do like 8 pegs and then turn it so it doesn't come unraveled on me. I believe this loom that I'm using has 36 pegs. I started this just after I got home from my trip with my family. And that was a few weeks ago. As you can see, it's gotten kind of long. So you start off by tying about 6 inches of yarn around this first peg on the end, on the outside of the loom. And then that hangs down. There's the piece of yarn that I used. As you can see, if I pull it out, it's about 5 to 6 inches. And you do that until it's like an inch or two long. You keep it there so it curls up at the bottom, because I find that it's easier to sew it up when it's curled up at the bottom, because then you can just like squish it together and then sew it with the needle like this one. Although a smaller needle could work if you can get the yarn through it. So how you knit is, first you tie it around all the pegs, tie the yarn around all the pegs, and then, as you see, I lift it up from the bottom. See this one right here? I lifted it up from the bottom. Then I hook it underneath with the crochet hook. Then I lift it up, pull it tight, lift it up and over. And then you just do the same thing all the way around the loom. And then you just do it over and over and over again until you want to switch colors. Or you can do a whole knitting piece with one color. But I like to switch colors, that way it's a little more interesting and colorful. I usually do each color layer till it's about 6 inches long, so this is about long enough. See, if you measure with your finger, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I just need a little bit more to finish this layer up. Then I have a nice blue color that my grandma gave me. It's a royal blue. Might look a little purple in the video, but it's blue. And I figured that would go really well with this color. My grandma gave me 4 spools of yarn, and this is the first time I've used one of them. And I think it's going to go really well. So if you do 8 layers 6 times, well, 6 inches per layer, and 8 layers, 6 times 8 is 48, which is about 4 feet long. And that's about how long I usually make my scarves. Although, I might make a shorter one this time just to show you, just because I want to show you how I switch colors. So once I finish this, I will finish these pegs. I will show you how I switch colors. When I start off by using a new color, there's 2 ends of the yarn. There's one end where it comes out the end and you just pull it out. That's the end that I like to use, because the other end is when you have to kind of unravel it yourself, and that just makes it a little harder to use it. But if you do 5 inches per layer 8 times, that's how much I usually do, that's still 40 inches. Whoops, almost started doing another layer of this yarn. 40 inches is a little more than 3 feet. It's 3 feet 6 inches. No, 3 feet 4 inches. Usually when I switch colors of yarn, I leave about 1 inch of one yarn on there. And then I just put this other color that I finished using back in the bag for next time. I want to do some knitting with that color. As you can see, this is unraveling it yourself, so I won't use that side. This other side is where you just pull it out. This is a bit of a shorter spool, but it should last a long time too, because it's like not even been used before. So what I'm doing now is I am tying the blue around the burgundy, and you want to leave enough of the blue left over after you tie it so that there's enough of it so that you don't have you don't want to have too much of it, but you don't want to have not enough that it just comes apart on you. So this is the blue, as you can see right here. That's the color that I started using, the blue. And then you wrap it around all the pegs. You can get one of these sets of looms at your local grocery store. I usually shop at a Walmart close to my house, but you want to go to a super center, not a neighborhood market, to get these. I had someone give me a new set of looms in high school for a Secret Santa gift in band. I play the tuba. I have since 7th grade. So here I am starting the burgundy is still there, but don't worry, the blue will take over after this layer is done. After we finish knitting these through these pegs. I just finished an arrangement of Ride of the Valkyries, another classical music piece from a commercial. Well, not from just a commercial, it's from multiple commercials. And I did it for double reed, quintet, or quartet. It's mainly for quartet, but there is one piece of the music one part of the music that uses an octave in it, so you need more than one player if you want to play that part. But it doesn't matter if you play it or not, it still sounds good. I just used a cello quartet arrangement of the piece, Ride of the Valkyries, to create the double reed quartet. when looking at string instrument parts, you have to be really careful if you're going to arrange for woodwind or brass instruments, because there's a thing called double stops in strings. A double stop is basically when a string player plays more than one note at the same time. Usually it's like thirds or fourths or fifths, but often it can be octaves as well. But so this double reed quartet that I arranged has 2 oboes, which everyone usually knows what an oboe is. It looks like a clarinet, but it's kind of smaller and it has like a different sound to it. And it uses a double reed, which a double reed is when you have 2 pieces of reed coming together and then you tie it together. Usually professionals make them, but like professional reed makers make them and then sell them to the players. But often when you get into professional double reed players, they can make their own reeds. They'll have like a case of reeds that they use. They use different ones depending on what piece of music they're playing and how it sounds. Basically, if you think about it, a reed is kind of like a string or a bow for a string instrument, or brass instruments, it's like a mouthpiece or a type of instrument that they use. So it just depends on what music you're playing and how you want it to sound. Right here, I'm using my fingers to tighten the stitch of this knitting. And I want to make sure that it doesn't come apart on me. The second time you go around with a new color is the hardest, because the first time you're still using the old color. As you see right here, I'm using the blue, and right here is still the burgundy. So just this first peg that you're using when you tie it together, the second time you use the new color around the loom is the hardest, because you have to be careful not to break the tie that you have. It's weird because the same thing is in music. You don't want to break the tie. Usually. Sometimes it's okay. So, basically double reed instruments include oboes, which includes an English horn as well, which is different than a French horn in the fact that it's still in the key of F, not meaning that it's like always key signature F major. It's just adding another sharp to the key signature that you're using. So basically an English horn is an oboe pitched a perfect fifth down from a regular oboe. The predecessor to the English horn would be the oboe d'amore, which is translated the oboe of love, but it's basically an oboe that's in a different key, like a lower key, but you can still hit the higher notes on the oboe as well, but you can also hit lower notes than a regular oboe. They used it in the Baroque time period, I believe. Baroque or classical, can't remember which. But that was a long time ago when a lot of things were different. Like the oboes looked a lot different back then. And all instruments basically looked a lot different. So the quartet that I arranged has two oboes playing together, an English horn, which is basically the same thing as an oboe, but pitched in the key of F. Well, not the key of F, but in F. So it has the lower tones of the oboe. If you want to hear what it sounds like, you can watch my video that I'll post later today of the arrangement of Ride of the Valkyries. On my YouTube channel. From MuseScore website, which is the program. MuseScore 3 is the program that I'm using. So the quartet that I arranged has two oboes, an English horn, which is classified as an oboe, and a bassoon, which is usually the lowest double reed instrument you'll come across in most ensembles or groups. Like bands use bassoons, orchestras use bassoons a lot more than most lower reed instruments. Well, low reed instruments. And then the lowest double reed instrument you'll come across is the contrabassoon. So you can see there's the blue by the burgundy. So Ride of the Valkyries starts off in the key of D major or B minor, but it starts off in the major. And then it goes into the key of B major. D major is 2 sharps, B major is 5 sharps. By the way, I love double reed instruments. Well, I love all instruments, but I especially love double reeds because, well, they just have a unique sound to them. And I know a lot of people, or some people, just don't like them because of their sound. But I love them because of their sound. I'm almost done crocheting around to the end, and then I'll end the video. Because I'm just going to keep crocheting, well, not crocheting, knitting. I'm just going to keep knitting with the blue color until I switch to the burgundy again. As you may have noticed on my YouTube channel, I love the sound of brass quintets or brass ensembles because brass instruments, it just has the sound of royalty when you hear the sound of brass instruments. I especially love the French horn because it's such a mellow instrument at times. Most of the time it is. But it's also like, I know I'm probably going to get some controversy from saying this, but it just has like a heroic sound to it as well. Kind of like the trumpet, but I like it better than the trumpet. But I also like the trumpet and the trombone and the euphonium. And of course I love the tuba, because that's my main instrument. But yeah, you'll see a lot of videos on my channel about with brass quintet music, because I have a lot of brass quintet music on my computer that I put onto my MuseScore website page, and then I'll put it on my YouTube channel. So that's all for now. I'll see you later. Thanks. Bye.